Welcome back to the RDR Podcast. You know who I am, and my guest today, my girlfriend Emma. She's been on here before last year, and she's back. What's going on?
Hey, thanks for having me back. I'm excited to be here.
So you guys know what the song is since this is already posted on there, but Emma is a big Chattahoochee fan. And so she made sure that the first time that we have a song about Alan Jackson, it was going to be Chattahoochee and she was going to be on here.
That's right. I was very adamant on it.
Yep. And this is kind of unusual from what we usually do, because usually I'm picking the songs for the artist, but you know what? Made an exception, which this is basically his most popular song, which is the songs that I like to cover on here. Not sure if this would be the one I picked. Maybe I'll get into that later, but just want to do a couple things before we get into the song. Some social media plug. Go check out RDR Podcast on Facebook, our page, and the Facebook group. You can just send us a message or create a post. You know, we really need some positive messages from our fans right now. You know, we've done this whole podcast without much negativity. We've had some negative comments recently. We had someone and they shared the podcast, let's just say a lot of negative, a lot of criticism. And, you know, those people, you know, they don't know about this podcast. They don't listen to it every time. They don't understand. You know, our listeners know that I'm no expert when it comes to this stuff. You know, I'm a fan and I do the best I can, and it's getting better. Go back and listen to our first episode. If you don't think that this episode is better than our first one, I don't know what to tell you, but you know, check us out on Facebook and give us some good messages. Also, The Fake Punt is our football podcast. Emma hopefully will be on there sometime this season. She is pretty good. She got tied for third in our football NFL 32 pick challenge league last year. So we do that kind of usually monthly in the off season, not as much. So give that a check out. Yeah, so we're going to change up how we do the podcast. I like to change it up every now and then, just make it more interesting and better, and just not do the same old things all the time. So I'm still going to go into the song facts, but actually when I go into the breakdown of the song, usually if you listen to this, I always do the breakdown of the lyrics, and then I get into our opinions of the songs. Now I'm gonna do the facts, but I'm gonna kind of go through the specific things that I like about it while I'm going through the lyrics. And so you can just jump in if you have a specific thing that you like, and then we'll go over the overall what we think about it when we're all said and done. So we'll see how this works. Hopefully this makes it flow through better. And the other thing I think people didn't like about my podcast is that I don't really ask specific questions to the guest, but I have some specific questions just for you when this is over, because that's more of a traditional interview and I don't really do that. But you know, I think people maybe they want that. So we're going to try that.
Okay.
Anyways, I already said why we picked the song. Emma is a huge fan of it. Alan Jackson, right in that, you know, kind of Brooks and Dunn era. We do a lot of country artists around that time, but yeah, so basically this song, I would say, got Emma into the kind of neo-traditional country music, really got her into country music overall, but not really her first song. I'd say more Morgan Wallen and John Party. Would you say?
Yeah, I think so. But I remember first, I think we were in the car and you first played Chattahoochee for me, and like I went 2018. But I instantly was just like, what song is this? But I would agree that I listened when Morgan Wallen came out with some stuff and John Party, like I listened, those are songs I like right away added to my list and listened to like on repeat a lot. But this Alan Jackson definitely got me into the older country.
Yeah. And this song, it's not traditional country music, and I don't even know if it's barely neo-traditional, but Alan Jackson in general is very neo-traditional. So this song got her into Alan Jackson. It's very popular. This song is currently his number one most popular song on Spotify. Number two, it looks like overall behind It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere. Written by Alan Jackson and Jim McBride. It's the first song off of his, I believe, his third album, A Lot About Living and a Little About Love, which is a line in the song. Released in May of 1993 as a single. The album came out in 1992, so it came out in 1992, later released as a single. It won the Country Music Association Single of the Year and Song of the Year. As far as the chart, peaked at number 1 in the US and Canada for country, and number 42 on the overall Billboard chart, and number 1 for the year end of 1993 in country. So that's pretty much the biggest country song of 1993. And then I'll just pull up, there's a couple interesting things on Wikipedia that I found on here. Pull up. So it says that Alan Jackson, he had a little quote in here, says, Jim McBride and I were trying to write an up-tempo song, and Jim came in with the line way down yonder on the Chattahoochee. It kind of went from there. It's a song about having fun, growing up, and coming of age in a small town, which really applies to anyone across the country, not just by the Chattahoochee. And they said that they never thought it would be as big as it's become. And the critical reception, it has pretty good. And music video, we're not really going to do a music video review, but I think the music video is pretty cool. Have you seen it?
I have seen it. Actually, you'll be, I think, shocked, but also very proud of me, because today while I was at work, I actually watched on Amazon Prime, the Alan Jackson documentary, Small Town Southern Man. And so I do also have some insight on the song, because there's a little snippet in the documentary where they talk about the song, which is funny to me.
I did not even know that was a documentary. I'll have to go watch it.
Yeah, it's good.
I have to review it on this. So this is my breakdown of the song, and I'm just going to kind of go through the lyrics. Not just go through the lyrics, I'm going to kind of tell what I think about each part of this song while I'm going through the different lyrics. And you can kind of jump in at the end of these sections here.
Okay.
So the intro, 15 seconds. I got to say, just fun is what I think of. Band intro. The guitar instantly gives off this sort of beach surf type of vibe. My initial reaction is that it's really not country at first, more of just a beach rock sound. But the fiddle does come in pretty quickly.
Yeah, I do love the fiddle and that, the intro kind of guitar strum. I think is a great big impact for the beginning of a song. And it's just, it's within the first 2 lines, I think you get hooked, because at least for me, it's just like way down yonder in the Chattahoochee, it gets hotter than a coochie coochie. And that line has always just been so funny to me. I don't even know if I know what that means, but I've tried to look it up. It's just a funny line. I feel like people are instantly just either laughing about it or just super intrigued and want to hear more.
No, yeah, I agree. And yeah, so getting to the first verse, the other two lines of this verse, we laid rubber on the Georgia asphalt. We got a little crazy, but we never got caught. So basically, the first verse is saying that they're enjoying themselves on the summer down or during the summer down on the river. And I kind of took apart some of these terms from this. So you got the Chattahoochee, that is a river that runs basically in North Georgia near North Carolina, down the Georgia Alabama border, and ends near Florida. So if you're not from the area, that's kind of where it is. Georgia, Alan Jackson is from Georgia. So that's kind of what the song's why it's why it's even talking about Georgia. Hoochie Coochie, this is the best I can find, is some type of provocative belly dancing from the mid 1800s, is what it says on Wikipedia. And anything else I find is some sort of provocative something. You know, it's because I think hooch means like alcohol, but then hoochie, it just, I don't know. There was never really, I think it generally means some type of provocative dance. And then he says lay rubber. This likely means he was talking about driving around, probably squealing some tires on some back roads down in Georgia. And then the chorus. So the first couple lines of this: down by the river on a Friday night, a pyramid of cans in the pale moonlight. I love these first two lines of the chorus. The whole chorus is just saying kind of that they partied all night. Probably these are probably kids in their teens or 20s, down by the river. Pyramid of cans is going to be a stack of empty beer cans. And then let's see, he says, never knew how much that muddy water meant to me. So I looked up, and the best I could find, unless he's just saying just in general muddy water, is that so apparently the Chattahoochee River used to be a little bit muddier and dirty back in the 60s and 70s, which the song is in the 90s, but that's quite a while from now. But it's a lot cleaner, it seems like these days, it says. And then the last line of the chorus, it just says the name of the album, a lot about living and a little about love.
Yeah, I think it's a really fun chorus. It's just so like, it's so descriptive, but simple at the same time. Like, yeah, also a pyramid of cans in the pale moonlight. It's like a very fun like image to think of. But it instantly, like, everyone can picture it. It's so relatable. Sometime near the water, down by the river, like had a night like that with their buddies when like they were teens or like young adults. So it's just, it's like kind of, I feel like it's nostalgic for everybody.
Yeah, and this is something, even if you are not a kid, these are something that's I would do really at any point in my life. Hey, this is just hanging out with your friends on a Friday night. But a pyramid of cans in the pale moonlight is just what a line. What a, it's just, not only is, you're taking something just like they're finishing beer cans, and all of a sudden it's an art. It's a pyramid of cans. And then the lighting, you got to have lighting when you're taking photos for photographer. The lighting is the moonlight. Mm-hmm. Now, I've never put cans of beer in much of a pyramid other than maybe a very small one. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that's the other part of this night, is they're drinking a lot of beer and they're putting them in a pyramid. But yeah. So the second verse, and most of the song, it's not a very long song. There's not a whole lot to it. It's mostly just choruses, but the next verse is pretty short. It says, we fogged up the window in my old Chevy. I was willing, but she wasn't ready. So I settled for a burger and a grape snow cone. I dropped her off early, but I didn't go home. Basically saying that they were fooling around in a Chevy pickup, and instead of making it to home plate, they settled for a burger and a grape snow cone. And then after he dropped her off, he probably Well, it goes right into the chorus. So probably he went back to partying with the boys on the river. And this is probably my favorite verse in the whole song because you're going from sex or almost having sex to getting the specific food, a burger and a grape snow cone. And it's the burger is so, you've got the Chevy and the burger, very, so American. And then the grape snow cone is just really funny because, there must got to be like a county fair nearby. I don't know why he's getting, I guess if it was like grape soda, but grape snow cone is very specific. There's got to be a stand somewhere. So it's very, very summer-esque and very childish to get a grape snow cone. So that's very funny.
Yeah, I think this verse is like short and to the point, but just has a lot of character to it because the snow cone, it's just like I'm picturing one of those like little like paper cones and like the perfectly round top, and it's like the grape juice and everything. It's funny how it goes, going from like, oh, like pretend like all this romance and stuff, and then he's like, oh well, it's okay, I'll just grab a burger and snow cone, head back to the boys and hang out, like, oh, whatever. It's just like so nonchalant.
Yeah, it is it's very nonchalant, and then it perfectly goes into, because it doesn't really mention women in what doesn't in the first verse, but here it does. And it perfectly goes into the chorus where it already said it earlier, but it says it again, where it says talking about cars and dream about women. So it mentions the women and the car for that matter. Talk about the, like I said, truck, Chevy pickup, but it goes into the choruses for the rest of the song. So those are my takeaways from specific parts of the song. What is your overall? I know, well, obviously you love the song, but any other sort of overall things about this? I got some specific questions. You actually kind of answered at least one of these, so I'm going to try to think of some more.
Oh, okay. I love the song. Like I said, I remember when you first played it for me, I instantly wanted to know what it was. I just don't know how you can listen to this and not like start tapping your toe or nodding your head. And just, I remember after just listening to it for a few times, I picked up the lyrics so quickly because it has that really catchy beat, the rhythm, and something else about kind of going back to that beginning intro, like the guitar beat, the guitar strum. I love how it starts with that and how it ends with that. I think it just really rounds out the song as a whole, and it just kind of brings it all together. So I like how he starts and ends it the same way or similar ways.
Yeah, that beat too, that like kind of beach, it's almost like a more of a rock version. Well, it's kind of like the Beach Boys type of music almost.
Oh yeah.
And it fits in really well with the song because it's talking about the river.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you already answered my first question here, but so was this the first Alan Jackson song that you ever heard?
I think so. Because it was very, you played this for me, I think very early on, like when we started dating. And obviously Brooks and Dunn was the first country band you played for me.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like introduced to that, but I think the Alan Jackson one, you just put it on. You weren't like, oh, you have to hear this song. It was just kind of in your country playlist, or like you were just in the mood to hear it. I believe that was the first one I heard. I was not a country listener before.
That makes sense.
2018.
So what about the song would you say initially appealed to you?
I think just how catchy it was. Like like I said earlier, after listening to just like 2 to 3 times, I knew the chorus lyrics. Like I could easily sing along with them. Um, and it was just a fun song. When it comes to music, I actually tend not to listen to the lyrics as much. I pick my songs a lot off of like the beat and the rhythm. And this one was definitely definitely caught my attention with how all like the fiddle, just all the different instruments and the way they kind of blended together.
Yeah, I think that people say that a lot. I think that songs, they stick with you if they have good lyrics though.
Yeah.
And so this song, I think that you'll continue to like it because it's not just a gimmicky song. It has very funny and clever lyrics like we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one I just thought of. What is your second favorite Alan Jackson song?
So what you really like?
No, you, not me.
Well, no, I know, but what ones do I like by him? I feel like it's a lot of his popular ones, like Country Boy. You've played that a lot for me, and I like that one as well, just because it's like a slow or steady beat. The low voice that he has is super interesting to me. I also like Good Time. That one's a fun one. I feel like it's similar to Chattahoochee when it like comes to the beat and like tapping your toe and wanting to just get up and dance. But I don't know, probably one of those two. To be honest, it's like obviously I haven't listened to everyone. He's so many songs, like dates so far back. But I should, now that I've watched the documentary and I know a little bit about him, I want to kind of go back and look at some of his older albums and stuff.
Definitely. Yeah. I'll talk about Alan Jackson overall and then just the song. So this is not my favorite Alan Jackson song. I think for a while it probably was because he was really popular in the 90s and then still popular in the 2000s, but mostly in the 90s. And so, when I was like a kid in the 2000s, he wasn't really on the radio quite as much as he would have been in the 90s. So, and then some of the songs you mentioned came off this 2008 album. So at that point, I wasn't quite riding in the car quite as much as when I was, more early mid 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really hear him a whole lot growing up, except for, of course, It's 5 o'clock somewhere. That was early 2000s.
Yeah.
And this song, but I didn't really hear a whole lot of his other songs. But I went back and listened, and his 2008 album has got some great songs. Country Boy and Good Time are both really good. I think Country Boy has a really, really good sound, even though the song's a little bit more just sort of generic, but it's really good. The Good Time, very upbeat. I really love that song. Just very fun. Much more of a country sound than this. Actually name drops Brooks and Dunn.
Mm-hmm.
And then my favorite song I think of his has got to be Small Town Southern Man.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people, that's a lot of critics like that song. It's it's slower. It's about a small town Southern man. And I think also another thing, his voice, like in this song, was not very deep. Somehow it got deep. And in Country Boy, you can tell it's very deep. If you think about kind of the midpoint of those was like It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It was decently deep, but not quite as much. So somewhere in that 2000s, it started getting pretty deep. And I think his voice kind of got better. I don't think his voice is quite as unique as it was in his later stuff.
Mm-hmm. Can I well, all the more reasons you should watch the documentary. feel like I know so much about him now. I think Small Town, not that we're covering this up, but I think Small Town Southern Man is about his dad.
Is it?
I think so, because
You know what? Actually, so what I had looked up from this, I think from what I had remembered, I think most of the song, or like half the song, was not about a specific person.
okay.
It was about just a general small town Southern guy.
Mhm.
It wasn't really a biography about his life, but it did say, I have to pull up the lyrics somewhere up here. Here, do you want to search that in there?
Sure.
But it mentions basically him and his siblings. And it says, first there came 4 pretty daughters for the small town Southern man. Then a few years later came a boy who wasn't planned. So that's actually, he has 4 older daughters. And then he is I believe the lone
4 older sisters.
4 older sisters. And then he is the one boy, unless there was someone after him. I'm
Yeah.
not really sure. So yeah, that's probably my favorite song of his.
Mhm.
But he has a lot of other ones. He's got a lot that are really good. Chasing That Neon Rainbow was like his first big hit. That's a great song.
Mhm.
Overall, this song, I like it a lot. I have heard it quite a bit, so it's not really one that I love to play all the time. But for the summer, I think it's always a jam. It's always, if you're, floating down that river, Chattahoochee it's got to be on the playlist.
Yeah, I would also agree. And I think one more little factoid that I know is that I think you'll find interesting is the like managers and like the record label at the time when this came out, they actually nobody wanted the song to come out except Alan Jackson, because they said it's like it strayed too far away from his like ballad love songs and like his like soft or his like quieter image. And then he came out with this, and like in the music video, if you see him like the water skis and cowboy boots, they thought it was like too much, or it would like ruin his image, or like I thought that was really funny. And it's like, what do you know? Now it's a big
It's
hit.
become, probably his biggest hit. Yeah, Alan Jackson does have a lot of slow songs. Most of his songs, I think, are slow songs. But he's always been someone that has been able to have these radio hits, even though he keeps that neo-traditional country alive. And this song, I'm not really sure says that quite as much, because again, like it's sort of different. It's not really like a true country song. But it's still very fun, and it's not a pop song. So I like it. But
Woo!
the background we just heard, I think maybe our cat Kix Brooks. One last thing also, just bought tickets to the Brooks and Dunn concert. We're recording this end of August. It'll be next month in Blossom near Cleveland. So I'm super excited for that. Have not ever seen Brooks and Dunn in person. Very excited.
Yeah, that'll be a wild time. You have your t-shirt, your Brooks and Dunn t-shirt you can wear.
The Red Dirt Road, which we gotta get something. We gotta get some business cards and pass them out there.
Yeah. That's true. I wonder if
I gotta get those business cards, pass them out to some fans and also to some stage people, and say, hey, hand these up to Brooks and Dunn. They gotta at least be intrigued. I mean,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure they've not known about my podcast because they're 2 guys in their late 60s, and so they don't use social media a whole lot. They have social media accounts, but I feel like they don't really post themselves on there. But someone someone from Brooks and Dunn, reach out to us.
I, for the record, I have DM'd the Instagram accounts of Brooks and Dunn, and then Kix Brooks and Ronnie Dunn, trying for like past birthday presents, or like me just trying to be super extra for gifts for you, but I have yet to receive a response.
That's okay. Yeah, so we got a lot of other things coming up on this podcast. Make sure you're subscribing. We've got, unfortunately, a lot of country artists recently passing away, and other artists. Nancy Griffith passed away. Don Everly of the Everly Brothers, who is more rock, but he had a little bit of country. We'll have to dive into what they have. Tom T. Hall. Actually, his most popular song, "That's How I Got to Memphis," was covered by Ronnie Dunn. And we got Dirk Bentley episode I would like to do eventually, because we saw him at the Country Fest. And then Travis Tritt will be at this Brooks and Dunn concert. So we'll have to do a Travis Tritt episode eventually. So a lot of stuff to do. A lot of guests that we want on here.
Yeah.
In fact, the guy that we're going to Brooks and Dunn concert with, Nick, trying to get him on here. Apparently he's a big Brooks and Dunn fan. So that will be it for today from way down yonder on the Chattahoochee. I'm not going home.
Keep it country.